All right, welcome back. This is going to be a tutorial to cut out our door in our shed. We just finished the windows and the steps are going to be similar, but some of the pieces are going to be different dimensions because of the increased load we're going to have to support with a wider opening. According to our specification sheet, the only thing they're telling us is that the center of the door should be 6 feet from the exterior edge. I don't see anything on here for the width of the door, or the height of the door. So we're going to be able to make those decisions as the designers of the shed. What we need to do is grab our measuring tool, and from the exterior edge, and I've kind of zoomed over to the correct side. If the windows are on this right side here, we're going to cut the door on the left side. So my windows are over there on the right, and I'm going to come over here to this edge of the shed, and I'm going to, with my measuring tape tool, draw a line from that edge over here, and I want that to be 6 feet from that edge. So 6 feet, enter. All right, so that puts the dot right here at the halfway point. Okay, and I'm going to then use my measuring tape tool to just draw a perpendicular line so that I get the guideline for the center of my door. All right, we're going to make doors come in all shapes and sizes, and I'm going to make our door, it's going to be a double door, and each standard exterior door in like your house is probably 36 inches. So we're going to make it a 6-foot gap. So measuring out from the center point, I'm going to go out 3 feet this way, and I'm going to go out from the center point. We're going to go 3 feet this way, and then I'm going to draw again a line perpendicular to get the guideline here on this side. But on this side, that 3 feet came in right past the edge of this wall stud. So in fact, this wall stud is going to have to go in order to get that full opening for our shed. In fact, a lot of these wall studs are going to have to go. But an interesting thing about door framing is that you're going to keep your 16-inch on center stud layout. But if we're going to move a wall stud such as this one, we're still going to have to add another one right on this edge as the king post to support this opening. Okay, so let's look at some diagrams of some door framing to get an idea of what we're looking at. Similar to the wall framing, all right, we've got the sole plate here, and then we've got a wall stud running the full height of our wall. And then just next to that, we've got what's called a trimmer stud. And over here, you can see that this is the 16-inch on center spacing for the studs, and this one is in between that. They've added this king stud to support the span and to nail our trimmer stud into it. And then above, we've got cripples to support the span up above the header, and the header is going to be a little bit thicker. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then zooming in down here, you can see that the opening goes all the way to the subfloor, which means we're cutting our bottom plate all the way down to our plywood on our shed. So part of this is going to have to go as well. All right, so this might turn into a two-part video tutorial. We've already drawn a couple of guidelines, but we're going to dive into removing the wall studs and start making this span, making the hole for our door, and then we'll see how far that gets us. So I'm going to use my white arrow tools to select some of this lumber here, and you can see that this entire wall is one big group that we dragged over from a previous tutorial video. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on this wall and say explode, and then I'm going to click over here in the green space. Then I'm going to zoom in on this wall stud that is kind of dividing my 3-foot distance here. I'm going to click on this one piece, right click, and say make unique. All right, that way if we delete it, we're not deleting the entire wall. I would delete this wall, I mean, I would delete this wall stud, but it might be actually easier just to move it over to create the king stud that I'm going to need on the outside of my door opening. So I'm going to move this wall stud over here, and I'm going to move it uh, 2 inches. I'm going to move this corner 2 inches past where I have my marking. Okay, it's kind of tough to see. It's right here. That's where my 3 foot marking was. So I'm going to make another marking, another guideline with my measuring tool, my measuring tape. I'm going to click on this dot. I'm going to come out here 2 inches, 2 inches, and then I'm going to draw a line perpendicular to the other side to create a guideline. Now, with my wall stud selected, this unique wall stud, I'm going to use my move tool, and I'm going to click on this corner down here, and I'm going to move it over to that guideline that I just created. Okay, so that's going to serve as the king stud for the right-hand side of my door opening. Okay, and then the same thing is going to happen over here. I'm going to move this stud over 2 inches past this guideline. So I'm going to use my measuring tape tool. Malfunction there, but I'm back. We're going to use our measuring tape tool, and we're going to measure a 2-inch line from this guide point here. So we're going to click with our mouse, drag it out on this edge. We're going to click 2 inches, not 2 feet. And we're going to get a second dot right here. And then we can drag from that guide point over to this edge of the sole plate. Make sure you have the green horizontal perpendicular line there to get the guideline. And then we're going to move this wall stud, this corner edge is going to be flush with this guide point right there. So I'm going to use my white cursor tool to select this wall stud. I'm going to right click and make this one unique. Okay. And then I'm going to use my move tool, and I want to grab this corner and I want to move it over to be flush with that guide point. Okay. So now I've got my two king posts, king studs. This one and this one here are going to be my king studs to support the span for our door opening. And then this wall stud is going to go, this wall stud is going to go, and this wall stud is going to go. And so now we've got an opening where our door is going to go. The next thing I want to do is this sole plate has got to get cut, and that's going to be in our next tutorial video. So tune in for the next part of the tutorial where we cut our sole plate, and then we'll add some door jacks.